Well, actually, I'm not surprised. The abortion rates have been falling. So has the abortion ratio and the absolute numbers. These are three different ways, of course, of measuring abortion. The absolute numbers, and then the relationship between the number of abortions to the number of pregnancies, and then the number of abortions relative to the number of women of childbearing age, which is the rate. Lower than ever is not a surprise, simply because no lie can live forever. People are finding out, primarily through experience and the experience of those around them, that abortion doesn't solve any problems, it only creates new ones. And this is one of the things, of course, in my line of work, where I'm privileged with Priests for Life, to oversee the Silent No More campaign. The experience of those having abortions isn't something that is kept to themselves. They share it. And even if they don't share it by means of the formal personal testimony about their abortion, people around them see how they suffer. So with the lived experience of what I've always called it the dead end rule, if you ignore the signs that say a particular road is a dead end, you will soon learn by personal experience that it's a dead end. And those that go to the dead end and realize there's nowhere else to go, turn around and come back the other way, they become the living sign that this is the wrong road to take. That's exactly what's happening with abortion. So the rates have been going down, and to hear now how far down they have gone shouldn't be a surprise. It should be a great encouragement, though. What it says about the pro-life movement is the movement is succeeding in making abortion not a desirable option. Of course, we always say we want to make it an unthinkable option. But we are succeeding in making it less desirable. Of course, we're providing more and more alternatives. The pregnancy center movement continues to grow and become strong. The pregnancy centers outnumber the abortion clinics 5 to 1. All these developments, but most primarily that you can't hide the truth. The truth is going to assert itself about the fact that this is a bad option. And while the reasons behind specific declines in rates are subjects of dispute, and they are multifaceted, nevertheless, it's certainly true to say that what the movement is doing in exposing abortion is having a measurable effect. Well, in fact, as we are having this interview, I'm on my way to South Bend to go to that particular facility that this now deceased abortionist was operating out of, and to talk with some of the local attorneys and other people responsible for what needs to happen next in terms of giving a proper burial to these children and conducting whatever investigations have to be done. But again, I have to say, as someone who has, in conjunction with various pro-life organizations and other leaders, investigated the abortion industry for decades and really looked deep inside of it, we are not at all surprised by this. We have seen this kind of thing before, because the abortionists they're deeply damaged. And the fundamental damage that is done to any man or woman who performs even a single abortion is that they are dehumanized. You can't dehumanize these babies without dehumanizing yourself. And so your response to the dignity of another person, your instinctual reverence for life, is diminished, it's weakened, and it is submerged under the lies that you tell yourself to justify abortion. Sadly, what that ends up doing is leading to bizarre behavior like this. Here's a man keeping these bodies in his own home. His own family doesn't even know about it. What is he doing? Why is he doing it? It's a sign of the dehumanization of the abortionist. We have stories, for example, from inside the abortion industry of these people not only hoarding these bodies, like we saw with Kermit Gosnell as well, but playing games with them. Playing games in the hallways of the abortion clinic, games of catch with the bodies of these babies, even games of wishbone, tearing the babies apart. These people are deeply damaged, and when they devote themselves to killing human lives, that just doesn't fit into the human psyche, into the human heart. And when you try to make it fit, the human psyche is going to rebel. And you're going to see these kinds of bizarre behavior that we have seen with this particular abortionist. Well, Mayor Pete Buttigieg has a lot of issues, a lot of problems, and one of them, I mean, I just saw his quote about he finally spoke up about this particular incident, and his quote is very revealing because he said, this is disturbing, it's unacceptable, but then he goes on to defend the legality of abortion. Well, if it's unacceptable and disturbing, why? If it's okay to kill these bodies, why is it disturbing and unacceptable to find them? And this is what the supporters of abortion have to wrestle with. When people like Buttigieg and all the Democrat candidates for that matter, and the Democrat Party itself, get so solidly behind the idea of abortion on demand, the way they do it, the way they articulate it, is to talk on an abstract conceptual level. They'll talk about constitutional rights, freedom of choice, reproductive justice, women's health, etc. What they do not talk about in the context of abortion is what abortion actually is. You don't hear them saying dismemberment, decapitation, arms, legs, heads, skulls, blood, flesh, bones. These are words they don't use. In the abortion medical textbooks, you will see those words because this is what the abortion procedure actually is. So people like Mayor Buttigieg and these other Democrat candidates, they do us no favors in trying to justify abortion in the abstract, but then what it when what it actually is comes to light to the public, they say, oh, how terrible this is. That's hypocritical. It's terrible when you see these bodies in the home of an abortionist because it's terrible that they were killed in the first place. You know, we had this Democrat debate. Nothing was mentioned about abortion. We used to be the ones that complained about that. But it's very telling now that it is the pro-abortion side that's complaining that the issue's not getting enough attention. This, again, is a sign of their desperation. The radical laws that have been passed in states like New York and Illinois and Vermont and others are not a sign of the strength of the other side. They're a sign of their weakness. What I mean is that they see the courts slipping away from them. They've always seen the legislatures slipping away from them. And so now they're in a position where they say, we better go for all that we can get right now, because we may never have the opportunity again. So they're just taking off the mask. They're showing their extremism in the hope that America's conscience has declined far enough that enough people will accept that extremism as something good. That's their desperate hope, if you can put those two contrary words together. That's their act of desperation right now. And so, of course, they want to show off their extremism now, which is very different from the days of Bill Clinton, safe, legal, and rare. Now we're in a different scenario now with the abortion supporters. They want to come right out and say, you know, let's make our case the way we've always believed that it should be: abortion on demand without apology. And yet they greatly underestimate the American conscience. Yes, we want to see the issue come up more as well. The reason being that we want to expose the extremism of the other side because we believe in the American conscience. We believe that there are still enough people out there who, when they see how extreme the Democrat Party is on this issue, will reject it. And will say, no, that's not, even people who call themselves pro-choice, no, that's not what I believe in when we look at infanticide, when we look at late-term abortion, second and third trimester abortion. Most people are opposed to that. So let the debate continue to rage and let the other side show its extremism, and I'm confident in the end when that happens, we win. It is certainly interesting, first of all, that Kamala Harris was the one who, as Attorney General of California, prosecuted David Daleiden and the other pro-life people involved. Because, you know, first of all, there was a deep conflict of interest going on there because she was doing the bidding of Planned Parenthood while at the same time Planned Parenthood was helping to fund her Senate campaign. And I think people need to challenge her at this point with that particular conflict of interest. But beyond that, the point that we should see here is, yes, The other side is not content with having abortion legal or having it as a choice. They want to take away our choice to fight it, and they want to take away our right to even be pro-life. As extreme as that sounds, this is the way that they behave, because ultimately this is a business, and anything that we do in the pro-life movement to succeed, whether it's the success of a pregnancy center or a pro-life law or just the pro-life message being understood by the public, anytime that any of that succeeds, it cuts into their business. And that's why they are so ruthless in trying to shut us down. And we would see more of this if the Democrats gained power. President Trump is the most pro-life president we've ever had. I was on his pro-life advisory commission during the first campaign and will be again in the 2020 campaign. And he has such a long list of pro-life accomplishments that it's difficult even for us who do this full-time to keep track of it. We are going to be working very hard to educate our pro-life fellow citizens as to what those accomplishments are. He's taken a lot of money away from the abortion industry. He has signed significant legislation and pushed for other legislation that he wants the Congress to bring to his desk. And he has transformed and continues to transform the courts, having appointed not only 2 Supreme Court justices, but over 150 other federal judges who will be on the courts for life as pro-life. So this is extremely significant, and that's just to hit a few of the highlights of his many pro-life accomplishments as president. So without a doubt, he has fulfilled what somebody told me during the 2016 campaign. As I say, when I was involved with this pro-life coalition, one of his advisors said to me, if he's elected, he will do everything that past pro-life presidents have done and more. And that has proven true. For example, Mexico City policy, he didn't just reinstate it, he expanded it so that it covers more government money, protects more of our taxpayer dollars from going to abortion overseas. The and more has proven true in all the different areas of his pro-life activity. My message to pro-lifers is that we are winning. Intensify your work, your commitment to this cause, because there is nothing more fundamental than fighting for the right to life, and it is the unborn who are most directly targeted now by the attack on life. They are the ones who are the most defenseless. So abortion remains, in the United States and in the world, the #1 moral issue. It is not climate change. It is not immigration. It isn't even terrorism. The #1 moral concern is and must be abortion, because that is where we are attacking the absolutely weakest and most defenseless human beings, and where we are destroying human relationships in a way that nothing else does, because it's attacking the very heart of the family, the very heart of the relationship between a mother and her child. You destroy that, the species cannot survive. Pro-life people, be encouraged, and keep in mind the words of John Paul II in Evangelium Vitae. He said, when the state legalizes abortion, the disintegration of the state itself has begun. That tells us this is not just one issue among many issues. It's the foundation of everything. And therefore, pro-life people, never be ashamed to be called anti-abortion. We are anti-abortion, and we should be as proud of that as we would have been to be known as anti-slavery if we were living in the days of the slave trade. And never let anybody tell you that you cannot focus on this as your #1 concern. And even, as I'm privileged to do, devote yourselves completely to ending abortion on a full-time basis. I encourage those who have the opportunity to do that and who feel the desire to do that to in fact say yes and do that.